Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Castle. I'm coming to you live and in person from British Columbia, Canada. I'm a retired member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, where I spent 27 years doing policing in Canada. During that time, I was a CPTED instructor trainer, and a CPTED practitioner since 1995. I'm here to tell you a little bit about what my role is going to be in this CREATE initiative, specifically relating to CPTED, which is Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. In 2023, I was a successful applicant to a consultancy to come to Jamaica to teach CPTED to JCF officers, Jamaica Constabulary Force officers. I did 2 courses over 2 weeks where I had JCF officers coming in and they learned about the first and second generation principles, plus they were all made instructors because I'm an instructor trainer. They did a variety of activities, including designing communities, learning about the principles, of course. And the principles that were the foundation of both of these courses was these first generation principles, which talked about territoriality, natural surveillance, image, and access control. So what they did is I just didn't sit and have them watching PowerPoints all day. I made them go out into the community and take photographs and present to the class findings and properties of locations that could use these principles. For example, this is a photograph from a student who took the course, and if you look at this property during the day, looks okay. I probably would want to get rid of the dresser on the front lawn there, or on the front of the house, because that may be an invitation for somebody to drive by and throw a rock through that mirror. Maybe those hedges could be pulled back and made less low so that bad guys can't hide behind there. This is the same property at night. So maybe lighting could be. The lighting you're seeing in this photograph is from the flash from the camera that the officer took. So they learned about cleaning up places, putting in lights, maybe a fence, maybe a padlock if it was necessary. Same with this property here. This property's already got a nice big fence and it looks nice, but look how dark it is at night. Again, those light you see is the light from the flash. It's pitch black. They couldn't see anything. So what could we do to make that property less attractive to a criminal activity? So this is what they learned in the first generation, basically how to implement environmental factors like locks and fences and gates and all of that. The second generation principles dealt with more with social parts of it, which I'll get into here in a moment. One of the things they had to do in preparation for the second generation activities was they had to design a community. And you can see in this picture here, they had to take a piece of poster paper and they had to design an entire with a variety of different things. They had to put stores and houses and churches and schools and all that had to go in there in a certain way, and they had to be able to justify why they put the school next to the bar or the park, or why was the church next to the police station. And they not only had to take into account the environmental factors from the first generation principles, but also the social aspects from the second generation principles. And they had to present to the class, and we all listened to what they said, and we asked them questions. Well, why was that there? Why did you choose to put this structure next to that structure? And this is where the learning came from. Keep that in mind when we get into the social pieces in a moment here, because this is what could happen not only with just JCF officers, but members in the community. So the CPTED has got a really nice foothold in Jamaica now. JCF officers and members of the PADF are already out there getting the message out about CPTED. And it's starting to go. So we're just taking it in this CREATE initiative, the next level, the next steps. And so we're going to focus more on the second generation principles when we talk about CPTED in the next piece of this release of CPTED into Jamaica. So these are the 4 principles of the second generation, which is social cohesion, community culture, connectivity, and threshold capacity. And we're going to talk about those very briefly here. This all began with this lady, Jane Jacobs, who wrote this book, Death and Life of Great American Cities. And if you look at what she was talking about, in a nutshell, she said, this is what a city looks like during the day. It's vibrant. There's people walking around. They're going about their businesses, shopping, and so on. But the same type of street at night looks like this. And the reason why that is because parts of a community were segregated. You've got businesses on one side of town, and the other side of town you have the residents. What she said, let's bring them together. Let's have one group, like we can mix them. In fact, that would add the number of people onto this street during the night, because they'd walk out their front door to go to get a hamburger or go to get drugs at the drugstore or whatever. Can you imagine how these two people in this photograph here would feel walking down this dark street by themselves? Well, they had to go all the way down here from their home on the other side of town to get down here to get to whatever business they wanted to get done. Jacob suggested, no, let's put them all together. Let's try to get businesses and communities all intermixed. Therefore, more people on the street, like in the previous photo, and therefore the reduction in crime. So this is what she was talking about in her book, and it continues to this day. So the first principle that we're going to talk about here is what we call social cohesion, which is where you're going to start dealing with community engagement. Police can't do it all. We have to have people in the community helping us. So we've got things like Neighborhood Watch, Citizens on Patrol, are all community activities that are monitored by the police, but they're taken on by citizens. They come into the police station, they grab a radio, and they go out in their car, and they watch for criminal activities, and they've reported in to the police saying such and such is going on. So the police are involved, but these people are just driving around hot spots in the town and reporting it back. So another set of eyes on the street. Drug-free zones, gun-free zones, citizens on patrol. All those things are a piece of the social cohesion, because it's not just the police, us and them. They're all working together in one common goal to reduce crime. Next one is going to be in social cohesion, not necessarily related to Neighborhood Watch and so on, is the use of maintaining and designing social areas, parks. Community gardens are huge right now. The price of food is ridiculous, so why not have more of these community gardens where people in the community get together, grow their own food, and they're all chatting about stuff, about what the problems are in their communities, and therefore the message is getting out. And then there's also conflict resolution piece to this, where you're going to have members of the community resolving problems if possible. Sometimes the community can deal with it better than having the police involved, because the police have to do it a certain way. They have to manage issues that require resolution through the courts. Well, is that necessary? Can that be dealt with some other way? So that's one way of doing it. This is something interesting that is coming up, and I did this when I was in Jamaica, and we'd go out for lunch or dinner or whatever when we were on one of our field trips. And I'd go into the restaurant and I'd grab my food in my tray, and I'd see a couple or a guy sitting in the corner, and I'd say, mind if I join you? Well, you can imagine the looks I got when I sat down. They, who are you? And I'd introduce myself, of course, and I'd sit down and start chatting them about what the problems were in this particular neighborhood where we were having our meal. And after a while, they just didn't want to let me go. They kept wanting to talk. Now that's interesting, I'd say, and they'd wanted to, and I'd finish my meal, and buses loading with the officers, and they just didn't want to let me go. They wanted to keep talking to me, and often they said to me, geez, I'd like to speak to you more often. I said, well, talk to one of these officers next time you see him. Invite him for lunch. Have him sit down and join you. So coffee with a cop or lunch with a cop is a great way to interconnect the officers and the people in the community. It works great, and not only are you getting intelligence about the stuff that's going on in the community, you're breaking that barrier. And I think that's a key piece to pretty much every law enforcement organization right now. The next principle we're going to talk about here is community culture. This is where we're talking about things like festivals, concerts, other events to celebrate local heritage. Art and design is another one where you've got murals. When I was in Jamaica, I was amazed by the murals that were there. It really depicts your culture. Let's keep going with it. If you look at this street here, in this photo, you got people on the left here have got the nice colors on their fences and stuff, and it makes the place vibrant. Let's expand that. How can we do this? What can we do to help, and what can the community do to make these things work? And then providing training. We can do this by providing training for citizens on patrol, Neighborhood Watch, things like that. That's a part of the culture, is actually teaching people what they need to do so that they're actually taking control of their environment, similar to what you see in this photo. Connectivity. This is where you're going to have you've got picture in your mind, you've got two places. You've got two towns right next door to each other. They both have the same problem, but town one doesn't want to deal with town two because I don't want those people in my backyard. They want to connect with those people in the community next to them. So they both have the same problems, but they don't want to work together because they don't want that person in my backyard. Well, how can we break that barrier? How can we make it better so that these two groups can talk to come to a common solution to the problem that's there? Things like connecting with the neighborhood groups like this. They can see these police officers here getting the people together. If you can get the people from both sides of the town or both communities in a group like this, formal or informal, this is where the conversation begins, and this is where solutions are generated. The last one in this group is the threshold capacity. The gentleman you see here in the photograph, his name is Greg Seville. He was my instructor when I took the course back in 1995. He's a key player in the International CPTED Association, and he's carrying on the work of Jane Jacobs about talking about things that we're integrating instead of separating groups. Socializing in parks, having mixed groups where you're having not just one group of people, have everybody come in and sit down and have a chat, or have some sort of a festival of some sort. Strategic zoning is a big piece. This is where we don't want to have what we call conflicting user groups. Do we want to have a school and a bar next door to each other? No. So in the planning stages, when you're dealing with planning to build places, you need to have some place where there's some venue where a person can say, no, I don't want that school next there, and not feel intimidated by the fact that they have that position. And this is what he's saying. Again, he talks a lot about community gardens and places to establish community pride, and that can be things like gardens and murals. But it's not just one side. It's got to be everybody involved, is what he's saying. And so you're trying to create that capacity where everybody can be a part of the solution. This all came as a result of a success story that occurred in Medellin, Colombia. Many of you will recall back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s where Medellin was a haven for the cartels. Murder rate was the highest in the world. It was decided at the government level or some level that they decided they were going to put in the CPTED principles to try to see if they could reduce murder and eliminate it altogether, ideally. And they did. They actually implemented CPTED and some other things. CPTED was a key piece to it, but there was other things involved like enhanced patrols by the police and so on. But CPTED was the sort of the benchmark. Everything resolved around that. And as a result of this, their murder rate dropped 90%. Significant. It's amazing when you think about it. So if it can work in Medellin, Colombia, why can't it work in Jamaica? I believe it can. And so it has to have the initiative. It's got to have the people pushing it. And it's already started, but we want to take it now to the next level. When we're taking it to the next level, we're going to use these target locations to implement CPTED. Have a look at this list of places, and if you're from Jamaica, you'll know that these places are definitely problem areas, murder rates, a bunch of socioeconomic issues, etc. So this is where we're going to want to concentrate our implementation of CPTED. Okay. So when I come down here come down to Jamaica in the next couple of weeks, this is the places that I'll be visiting. I've been to a couple of these already, and I'm looking at them thinking, yeah, this definitely needs to be looked at so we can reduce crime. Now, I'm not going to come up with these places. Some police officers are not going to say these are the places. We have to have the communities involved and say, how are we going to do this? So this is where the social factors kick in. We need to have these people involved, the entire communities. Say, we're not going to just starting tomorrow, we're going to have CPTED in your community. No, that's not going to fly. You got to involve them. You have to say to them, look, we're trying to help you to make your communities feel more safe. What do you suggest? This is our ideas. What do you suggest? And then come up with a mutually acceptable or agreed upon series of initiatives to make that place safer. that might be including environmental factors, but it has to include the second generation principles, which include the social factors as well. Now, when we're talking about social factors, where are we going to, we could talk about communities like the ones I showed in the previous slide, but we can also do this in schools, where we start getting the kids involved or thinking about CPTED at a young age. Right from when the time they're in school, it's in their mind. I don't want to ever call CPTED a program. CPTED is a way of thinking. You just don't say, well, starting tomorrow we're going to do this. No, you have to have that in your mind all the time. And if everybody has it in their mind all the time, then I've seen it happen where CPTED does remarkably help the reduction in crime. But at school level, kids are already thinking about it at an early age, and then they keep going with it, and it doesn't have to be taught again, because they've already had it throughout their school life, and they carry their principles forward when they get out of school. Now, they asked me to come up with some other toolkits. This is one toolkit that the International CPTED Association provides. These are a couple of others. And I was asked to put together a toolkit for Jamaica, or talk about emerging toolkits. These are toolkits. Some of these might work in Jamaica. I don't really remember seeing a lot of graffiti in Jamaica. There was some, but not as bad as some cities. So we may not have to worry about that one. But what we need to do, what needs to happen, is we need to create our own toolkits. We got to identify the problem, and working in groups like you saw in the previous photo, where everybody's in a room and we're talking about this, break into little groups and figure out ways to identify the problem, figure out ways to fix it. And that fixing, that whole process, would be recorded in a toolkit like this. And as a result, that's the framework, or how we're guided when we want to go to implement it. And it's not written by the police; it's written by everybody in the community. So it's not just one group; it's going to be everybody involved in the development and the implementation of it. Okay, but if I was a police officer and I walked in and I said, "Have a look at this. This is what we're going to start doing Tuesday," no, it's not going to fly. It's got to be involving everybody, all the stakeholders. So that's it. It's a great initiative. We're on our way here, folks, in Jamaica, and we're into the next levels. And if you have any questions of me, what my role will be, or any questions about CPTED itself, I'd be happy to answer them. Now, I'm coming to you by video here because we have connectivity problems. So my email is going to be with the organizers if you want to send me an email. But if I'm able to get live and talk to you in person during the conference, or during the release of CPTED and Create, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you very much for your attention. I enjoyed giving this. I can't wait to get down there and get more training in, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day.